Welcome everyone to the cruising show here on Northern Viking Explorer. If you're new here, my name is Ken. This is my wife, Andrea, and you can watch us here on YouTube or Facebook or listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform, or just head on over to thecruisingshow.com. That'll bring you over to our website where you can find all the latest episodes.
We are so glad that you joined us. We love to cruise, we love to travel, and we love to share with you what we've learned on our adventures. So let us know about where you're coming from, watching from, where you're cruising to next. We love to talk cruising.
So today we are going to be talking about the Sapphire Princess Pacific Coast Cruise. This is a 7-night cruise that sailed out of Vancouver, and we are going to be sharing some of the thoughts about that, but it's going to be a little bit different.
It's a little bit different because I didn't go on this cruise.
No, you didn't.
So Ken and our son, they went together. So Ken, why don't you explain how this cruise came about, why I wasn't with you, and why you chose this cruise?
All right. Well, so first of all, you weren't able to get the time off work.
Correct.
So it was kind of a last minute cruise. We booked it probably maybe less than 2 weeks before the cruise. It left out of Vancouver, so our closest home port, and the price was ridiculously good. It was just one of those cruises that was hard to turn down. So we were already going to be in Vancouver during the weekend where it set sail. And just to give you a kind of a heads up of what this cruise cost, I went with our son actually. So the pricing, we got $287 per person, and we plus taxes and fees, of course, which were almost as much as the cruise. Plus we had $250 of onboard credit. So the pricing on the cruise was ridiculously good.
And that was 7 nights.
That was 7 nights from Vancouver, sailing down the coast and ending in Los Angeles. So
that's really was a great deal.
Yeah, no, it was a good deal. Hard to turn that one down for sure. So, but yeah, so it sailed out of Vancouver, and the ports were Victoria, Astoria, Oregon, San Francisco, San Diego, and then ending in San Pedro or Los Angeles.
Now, I know the answer to this question, but how did you get to the port?
Well, like I said, conveniently, we were it was Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, so at the beginning of October. So we were already in the Vancouver area, and you happened to be there.
Yes.
So you actually drove us to the Sky Train, which is the train that is in the Vancouver area. And that took us all the way to Waterfront Station, which is about a block from Canada Place, where the Sapphire Princess.
Do you recall how much it was to take the Sky Train roughly?
It was a Sunday, and it was really cheap. I think it was $3 per person to take the train down there. So it was way cheaper than gas, and it was fast.
And weekdays are more expensive though. So that was a weekend rate. Now, was it difficult to get on and off the Sky Train with a suitcase? Because you were traveling with a full-size suitcase.
Well, the train wasn't that busy, so there was lots of room. The biggest problem was that every time the train accelerated, the suitcase wanted to roll away, so I had to hang on to it, because otherwise it would shoot down the whole train.
It was taking its own trip.
Yeah. So.
And we had a lot of questions about the embarkation process, because we've left out of Vancouver before. So we wanted to know how that was going to work and how it was with customs. So can you let us know how that went?
Yeah, so the port that you sail out of in Vancouver is Canada Place. If you're watching on one of the video streams, Canada Place, you'll see it in photos. It's kind of got the big flags on the roof. It's right next to downtown. And we actually sailed on the sister ship to this ship, the Crown Princess, in the summer to Alaska. And it actually, where we got on the ship was different.
Okay.
So we actually went down to the underground parking.
The same building.
Same building, but the underground parking area to get on this ship. And when we sailed on the Crown Princess, we were kind of on the main level is where we went through kind of the security. So it was different. And as for customs, we didn't do customs in Vancouver. No. So because our first port was Victoria, another Canadian port, we didn't do customs in Vancouver. So, which was kind of odd. I'd actually asked them, because the Holland America Eurodam was there as well. And we could see that those people were doing customs in Vancouver. So I was kind of wondering what was going on, and I asked them, and they said, no, they're doing kind of pre-clearance, and then we'll do customs later.
Now, in the app and stuff that you had already provided your travel documents and all of that was pre-cleared and arranged.
Yeah, of course. Like when you do your check-in, they have all your passport numbers and everything like that. So all of that was pre-done, but we didn't actually do customs until later.
Okay. Now, can you tell me your initial thoughts when you got on the ship?
The initial thoughts. Well, first of all, I felt like we just stepped on the Crown Princess again.
Okay. Yeah.
I knew my way around the ship. So that was extremely convenient to know your way around the ship. So absolutely beautiful ship. Lots of pools. One of my favorite areas on the ship was I believe they called it the conservatory area. And so it's the first pool towards the middle of the ship, after the buffet area on the Lido deck. And it was a covered pool area with 2 hot tubs. Now on the Crown Princess, so the sister ship, this was not covered.
Correct.
So I was really excited that this was a covered area. There's a second floor there where they had a couple of ping pong tables and a couple of foosball tables, or actually one foosball table, but a lot of loungers going around there. So it was a really, really nice area. And then they also had at the aft of the ship, there's the terrace pool area, I believe it's called. The terrace pool, but there's also another pool kind of above it, a circular one, and there was 2 large hot tubs at the back. So really beautiful terraced and great views from back there. It was really nice.
I remember that from the Crown. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So again, lots of hot tubs towards the center of the ship. So past the indoor pool there, you've got the main Neptune pool, which is the large one outside with the big screen, and they played a lot of movies out there.
Okay,
throughout the week. Big outdoor pool, smaller hot tubs in this area, and then the front pool. This one escapes me what this one was called. A lot of people don't know that this pool is actually for everyone to use. Well, I shouldn't say that, for adults to use.
That's right.
For free, because it's right under the sanctuary where you do have to pay to go in. But that pool, the hot tubs were open through the whole week, but the pool didn't open until we kind of hit California waters.
And that's interesting because when we were on the Crown, the pool was never open, that one. But the hot tubs were open.
Yeah. So, I don't think there was, I think they figured there wasn't that many people swimming. So it was, they kind of had it empty till we got to a little bit
It's not exactly hot in October.
Well, that being said, it was probably 70 degrees in Vancouver at the beginning of October, which was really nice. It was one of the hottest days.
That is not common for Vancouver in October, though.
No.
That is very warm. So if you're looking at booking this cruise too, it's usually chillier.
Yeah, no, for sure. I see RGs out there. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it. Welcome. Now, so the other area that was really cool on the ship is the Princess Theater, I believe they call it on this one. So it's a very traditional theater. So it's sloped, there's good views, there's no pillars. And then there's kind of a lower area, which is right down next to the kind of the performance stage. And every seat has, a lot of people, I don't think realized it, but had a table that flipped out of it.
In the arm.
You
have to lift up a little latch and pop it out.
Yeah. And that was not only on the Sapphire Princess, the Crown had that as well.
Yes.
And they're very, like, the armrests are solid on the side. You're really kind of...
It's kind of high.
Yeah. It's nice. I like the seats. And then, of course, they've got the kind of 3-story atrium area on the ship as well, which is beautiful. So Carl, who are these non-sweaty people? Those shirts don't look drenched. Well, I feel like you're referring to our recent vlog there on the where we were in Mazatlan.
On the Navigator.
Yeah. We have dry shirts on now. That was a hot day in Mazatlan. Thanks for joining us, Carl. And Donna, I see you're out there as well. Thanks for joining us.
A little milder here.
Yeah, it's not... if you haven't watched it, go and watch our Mazatlan vlog. That was a hot day, close to probably one of the hottest days I've ever experienced.
One of the sweatiest days of our life.
So anyway, the atrium here, beautiful atrium, 3 stories, and lots of shops around it. They're all always playing music in that area. Really nice area. There's so many nice areas on this ship. It is definitely an older ship, but it's well maintained. Beautiful gym. Now, I noticed, because you pointed this out on the Crown, that the roof wasn't very high in the gym. The same thing in here. The roof isn't very high, but the equipment was quite modern, and our son went in there almost on a daily basis, or he did go on a daily basis and quite enjoyed it. So that was really nice. This is one of my favorite spots. Is on the deck 7, there's the promenade that goes all the way around the ship, but on deck 8 at the very front of the ship. So 7, you go up the stairs.
You're outside.
You're outside, yeah. And you can go right to the very front of the ship, and it's covered. Really beautiful area on the ship. So there's lots of neat places. If you're into sports courts, very top at the aft of the ship at the back, there's a sports court up there. Different. This is one of the differences to the Crown. This one, that's where the mini golf, or I should say putting green and cornhole was on the Crown. That was not there on the Sapphire. And then there was definitely some nice lounges in there. There's the Explorers Lounge, and this is typically where they would put on kind of game shows, trivia, that sort of thing. They also had the Club Fusion at the, I believe, the aft of the ship as well. So same sort of area, music playing, a bar, lots of seating, kind of really nice vibe in there. So my impressions of the ship, really nice ship. The cabin. So the cabin was an inside cabin. When I talked about the pricing, $287 per person. It was, thanks, Donna. I appreciate that. Yeah, we disappeared off the screen. I think we're back now. So it was a inside cabin. The price was really cheap, $287 for those of you who missed it, per person. So it was hard to turn down, but it was an inside cabin. So I don't mind inside cabins, honestly. We've stayed in quite a few of them. Very traditional, lots of mirrors in there. It was cabin B407, so on the Baja deck, deck 11 midship. So 2 flights down from the Lido deck.
Or the buffet.
Or the buffet. So, and we had, of course, we had 2 twins that can be combined into 1 king, and a fairly large TV up in the corner. I want to say a 40-inch TV. The one thing I noticed on this ship, so as opposed to the Crown didn't have any plugs beside the bed, which I've seen posts that they're adding them right now. There was USB ports in the lamps beside the bed.
That makes a big difference.
And the main plug, there's 2 of them, but they're so close together that you can only use one of them unless you have super tiny little plugs. So
none of your cell phone chargers.
Yeah,
and stuff.
And behind the TV, I looked, and there was only the one plug for the TV, so you can do that. Around the corner, there was quite a large open closet, and behind the door, if you're watching on the stream, there's kind of a little cabinet that opens up with the safe in it and everything. So definitely a small cabin, lots of drawers, lots of things like that. One thing I want to say about Princess is, and I know I've kind of complained about this on other ships, there's actually quite a bit of complimentary on-demand television and movies on the TV.
You really enjoy that. You like to watch your sitcoms. And just have,
more so than other cruise lines. That's one thing I've enjoyed about Princess. And I want to say, as opposed to other ships, everything worked in the cabin.
Okay. That is nice. That is nice. Even though it was older.
Yeah. So we've had other ships that we've been on recently where the drawers, you can tell all the ball bearings are gone and things were broken. This one, everything was well maintained.
That's nice. Really nice.
Yeah. So,
All right. So you're then headed to Victoria. So my question was, if you take a ferry just outside of Vancouver to Victoria, it's only about 2 hours. So
that's right.
What did the ship do for 18 hours?
That's right.
Did you go in circles? Did you stop?
Well, it's only about, like you say, about a 2-hour ferry ride from that area to Victoria. And so I wondered the same thing. So as we sailed out of Vancouver, went under the Lionsgate Bridge, that seemed normal speed.
Okay, that's beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
Going under the Lionsgate Bridge and around Vancouver is
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
Just have to add that there.
Yeah. So once we got out of there, and we actually went around up towards Whistler.
Okay.
And around what's
so you're
called
going north.
Yeah, we went north to and the captain came on the intercom and said, this is rare that we'd have the opportunity to do this, but we're leaving early. So we went up and did a loop around Bowen Island very slowly, which was nice. It was calm. And then from there, it was getting dark. So we went kind of and had dinner into the shows. When we woke up in the morning, I was like, what in the world did we do all night? So we actually went towards Alaska and then did a U-turn and then came back very slowly. So we just went really slow, but we went away from Victoria and then came back.
Yeah.
So it was definitely,
You're wasting some time.
We were definitely wasting time and fuel.
Hey, RG just asked though if we like Whistler. We love Whistler. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, Whistler is really nice.
The drive there is gorgeous. It's a lot like an Alaskan cruise. It's
actually
very pretty.
If you go back on our channel about 2 or 3 summers ago, we do have a Whistler vlog up there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You'll have to maybe the production quality is not quite as great, but go check that out. Was the casino open during this time? That is a good question. I didn't actually check. I feel like it was, but they had to leave port for a certain distance. I don't quote me on that. I didn't actually check. I feel bad that I didn't check. I should have checked.
Next time.
So then, that took us to Victoria for our first port on the first day.
Now, can you tell me, like, where in Victoria do you dock?
So
what did you do?
So Victoria, we've been there several times on a cruise. So we docked at Ogden Point, which is about 25 minutes or a half-hour walk from the downtown area, where you'll find the Parliament buildings. There's the Fairmont Empress Hotel in that area, which is absolutely gorgeous. That's where many royalty have stayed over the years. It's right along the waterfront. So so it's fairly close.
It's very walkable and flat.
It is, yeah. We explored the downtown area. There's Chinatown down there. We went into the mall area. It started to rain a little bit, so we got coffees and checked that out. There's the Fisherman's Wharf in that area. And then we went out to the pier and checked that out right beside the ship. So very walkable city, lots to see. It's gorgeous. Now, Ryan is asking how the Sapphire Princess compared to the Carnival Panorama.
Well, it's going to be very different.
You can even speak to this because it's the sister ship to the Crown.
Because I've been on the Crown, yeah.
I would almost call them polar opposites. The Sapphire Princess would be more traditional cruising. Not a lot of the... I'll speak to this in a moment, but not a lot of the activities like the high ropes courses, the water slides. There isn't any of that really. So it's definitely an older crowd. The ships are both beautiful, but they're very different. One's the Panorama is more of a party kind of cruise.
Very family, a lot of stuff for all generations, whereas you'll find on Princess, the Lido deck parties are more of an organized dance party with their dancers. There's less involvement with other cruisers. It's more quiet. It is different. We enjoy both styles of cruising. Yeah, but they're very different vibe.
Yeah, if you're sailing with kids, they're gonna have more to do on the Panorama, I would say, than the Sapphire Princess. Sapphire Princess, I think, is more of the relaxing experience.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know this is one of the first things you asked me when we got home. Who was on this ship?
Yeah. I want to know because it's October, so people are in school.
Well, and Princess was actually marketing it as a wine cruise because it was going down the Pacific coast. I tried to count, but a lot of the kids looked the same. I think there was probably about 15 kids on the cruise. Quite a few people, you know, in their 30s and 40s, but then a lot of people, a lot of retirees as well. So, so the majority would have been probably 30 to 70 in age, or even 40 to 70. There was a handful of teenagers that seemed to all hang out together.
You mentioned there were some larger family groups though traveling together though, like multi-generational, even though it was in October.
Yeah. So you've got a question here. So Andrea, if you could only pick one or the other for all future cruises, which would it be? Princess or Carnival?
Oh, you can't put me on the hot seat. Well, you know, it's really hard to say because Carl, I really sometimes like that downtime. Like Princess, I do really enjoy and I feel very relaxed. Although with Carnival, I like all the different activities and fun things. I'm a people watcher. So sometimes...
You're going to sit on the fence, aren't you?
I feel like I can't answer this. Like,
okay, let me answer it this way, because we've talked about this. If it's just Andrea and I going away and we weren't going to actually be vlogging and we wanted to sleep and just like do nothing, it definitely would be Princess.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sit on the fence too. Carnival just will give you more of an interesting experience.
Carnival is more fun to vlog. It's definitely more fun. And I actually saw a question up there. Ryan said, would you sail on the panorama again? Absolutely. Yeah. I love the panorama. I love riding those bikes up high. You know, there is that child in me too. So depends if I need downtime or I'm ready to play.
You know, it's funny. Actually, we saw the panorama when we were in Puerto Vallarta.
Yes.
So it was docked right next to the Navigator when we were there, and it actually brought back some fun memories.
It did. Yeah. It's Carnival has a fun ship.
Very
really
different. Yeah, Victoria, beautiful. Typically, I mean, most people, if they sail out of Seattle to Alaska, they'll make that stop.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, close to home for us.
All right.
So.
You ready to talk about Astoria?
Oh, okay, Astoria. This is when it all, I don't want to say went sideways, but after we left Victoria, that's when the captain came on the speaker and said, unfortunately, we're going to be skipping Astoria. There's a large storm brewing in the Pacific, and they're expecting 4 to 6 meters. So they're going to try to outrun the storm. And that was 4 to 6 meter waves with us outrunning the storm and not getting stuck in the middle of it. So they said that the pilot, it was too rough to get the pilot onto the ship to try and get into Astoria. So they just tried to outrun it.
And did you? Or did you feel the waves?
No, we definitely felt the waves. As soon as we kind of got out in the Pacific, the ship was rocking. The pools were splashing. They had to shut down the pools.
Did they put out those cute little paper bags?
They did. There was paper bags out. It was, you know, I fared pretty well. You know, I felt a little bit before bed, and I took like a Dramamine or a Gravel, and that kind of took care of it. Our son, I could tell he felt it a little bit more, so he sat on the deck quite a bit, getting the fresh air. So it was definitely, you know, because we skipped the Astoria, it was a couple of days of rocking for sure.
It's kind of 2 longer sea days you were planning on too.
Yeah, for sure. But that threw a kink in things because that's where we were supposed to do customs.
Yeah.
In Astoria.
But I do have a question. Did you get the port fees back? Because commonly we get port fees back.
Well, I know you know the answer to this because I was saying, don't we usually get the port fees back?
And you're like checking the app. And
you're
messaging me.
We didn't, which I was surprised because every time we've missed a port in the past, we've always gone. It's not a lot of money, but you paid for going to port. And I actually went and asked them at the desk because I thought, you know, it's usually like $20 a person. And they said, no, we won't be refunding them this time. So I was like, sure, okay, whatever. I was just surprised.
Because usually we like to re-spend that money on the ship, right? Well, you're like, oh, free money, even though, yeah.
So, well, that's what I was kind of like, oh, you know, $40 to go, whatever,
entertain yourself.
Buy a nice hat or something.
So how did that impact the next port of call?
Well, and that's what I just mentioned was that's where we were supposed to do customs.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I kind of had I don't want to say a panic attack, but I had some concern because we booked an excursion privately in San Francisco. And I don't want to say it was early in the morning, but it was an hour and a half after we were supposed to get off the ship. And they kind of came out with a letter saying that, and announcements that everybody had to get off the ship, all however many thousand people, before anyone was allowed to go back on and clear customs. So it wasn't an all-day process. It was kind of like a full disembarkation where nobody could be on the ship. They had to have a zero count. So
now, before, there may have been a percentage of the people planning to get off in San Francisco, and now everybody has to get off.
Everybody had to do customs, yeah, in San Francisco. So it kind of put a little kink in it. So we got up early because the captain had announced that we were going to be sailing under the Golden Gate Bridge at 5:30 in the morning, which was nice.
The sun up yet?
The sun was not up. It was dark out. But how often do you get to sail under the Golden Gate Bridge? So we got up and did that. And there was actually quite a few people at 5:30 in the morning.
True fan.
True fans of the bridge. But so we went from there, we got ready, and they had announced that they would start handing out tickets at 7 o'clock or 7 a.m. to go through customs. So we went at 6:45 and got our ticket. You had to be ready to get off the ship.
Okay.
Before you could get a ticket. So you had to sit down and wait. And we waited for about an hour. So about 7:45 we got off the ship. It was supposed to be docked at 8. So because we waited in line early, we were able to get through customs quite early.
Okay.
And it wasn't a problem.
Okay. And did they recommend people who are not planning to stay in the day to stay on the ship later, or like? Well,
so because they had to have a zero count, nobody could get on the ship before everybody had gotten off and they cleared the ship. They recommended those who weren't doing anything or were planning on to wait till later in the morning, I think around 10 o'clock before they got off the ship.
Okay.
Because they said if you got off at 8 o'clock, you won't be allowed back on if it's 11. I think it was 11 where they were estimating that you could get back on. So you would be standing there for 3 hours before you could get back on the ship. So they recommended to wait if you weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
So. Okay, thanks, Carl. They probably just didn't give the Canadians refunds because they're so nice and won't go nuts like the Americans would. Well, all right. I have seen some people complaining about it, and the other people in the Facebook group as well. So I was just surprised about that. But yeah, San Francisco, beautiful city to sail in.
Did that impact your excursion that you had planned then, or was it okay?
No, it was fine. We ended up having probably about 45 minutes or an hour to spare before our excursion. But had we waited a little bit longer, it could have impacted.
Okay. And what did you guys do?
Well, I'll talk about where we docked first.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so we docked right downtown.
Nice.
Yeah. So right downtown, beautiful. And it was really close to everything. So we docked at Pier 27. So about a half a mile away from Pier 39, where the kind of lots of restaurants, kind of carousel shops, the sea lions are about a mile to Fisherman's Wharf. So it was very walkable from there.
And both piers were in the same direction though.
Yeah. So Pier 39 was kind of halfway to Fisherman's Wharf.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So from there we had booked Alcatraz.
Okay.
So it was really we booked it privately through the Alcatraz excursion, and it was very close. It was a 5-minute walk from the ship to where the boat takes you over there. $55 per person. But they'd given us a time, so we were worried about missing that time.
Okay.
Because I know when we've been there in the past,
it was sold out.
It's been sold out. So it wasn't sold out on this particular day, so it would have been fine. But they do sell out, especially in the summer season. So yeah, Alcatraz, I think it was great value. $55 takes you out there. You could spend all day there if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a self-guided tour. There was.
Did they provide the headphones for the self-guided tour?
They did, yeah. They gave you a little radio kit, and you could pause it. There was also tour guides, volunteer tour guides who walked you up and did, you could walk around. It was really, really definitely neat.
What's the minimum amount of time you would go and do that excursion in? Minimum.
Well, we were there probably 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. I would say that's the minimum. Budget 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I would have stayed another hour.
Mm-hmm.
But we had other things we wanted to do as well. So,
mm-hmm.
Budget. Yeah, I mean, on a busier day, it could have been busier for sure. So, but they do kind of space it out. Then, of course, there's the Pier 39, which I'd kind of already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit further down, we did that. We actually, because we were so close to the ship, we went back and had lunch on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And our son decided to just kind of hang out on the ship for the afternoon. So I walked down to Fisherman's Wharf, Pier 39 here, as well as Lombard Street, which is a fair bit away.
Now that's that famous, very S-curvy street that you can drive down in front of the apartments with the beautiful flowers.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a beautiful area and very walkable, but longer distance still. But it was really nice for sure. So that's kind of what San Francisco entailed.
Nice. And then next was San Diego.
San Diego, yes. San Diego was beautiful. We docked right downtown. So, which is really handy. It's right, easy walk to the Little Italy area. There's, on one side of the ship, there's actually kind of a museum of smaller ships that you could pay to go on.
Okay.
And look through those kind of, I don't want to call them pirate ships, but those kind of like boats.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the other side of the ship, probably only 200 yards away, is the USS Midway Museum, which is the aircraft carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we decided to do for the main part of our day. The big aircraft carrier, it's massive.
Did you book that there or ahead of time?
No, we didn't book that ahead of time. A lot of people had. We waited in line. I want to say they opened at 9. Don't quote me on that. So the people who had pre-booked, the Midway Museum kind of ended up going on 5 or 10 minutes before us.
Okay.
But we just bought our tickets and walked right on.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's multi-leveled. So you've got the top of the aircraft carrier with the runways. There's a whole bunch of planes up there. There's the lower kind of hangar area with more planes. And there's actually some simulator rides in there that flip you around, or kind of virtual reality type stuff.
Was that included or was that additional?
Those rides were additional,
okay.
But walking through was all complimentary. And then you can go down into the lower levels where the kitchen and the bunks and the jail and all that down below. So it was really cool. You can go up in the bridge. Highly recommended. Right next to where the ship's dock.
And minimum, how much time would you give? It looks like it was a pretty big attraction.
We spent about 3 hours there, and that was enough time to just look at everything. If you wanted to read the plaques, you could have spent all day there.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was many people on the aircraft carrier who had fought in the war, or veterans. Who were out talking about the planes that they'd flown in, or they were maybe pilots, and they had some amazing stories. So if you really spent time talking with them and learning about it, you could have easily spent all day there.
Okay, yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, so really, really neat area. That was $31 too.
Oh, that's really good.
I was surprised at the price. It was a really good deal. And then further down, there's the Seaport Village area in San Diego, which had lots of little shops and restaurants down there, kind of a park, really gorgeous area. I think I'd already mentioned Little Italy as well. So, and really, I noticed it was quite clean in San Diego as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
really nice. Okay, then your final port where you disembarked was Los Angeles. So were you at Long Beach or San Pedro? Where did you guys dock?
So this was in San Pedro. So the same dock that we did for the Navigator, that we were there just over a month ahead of time. Berth 92, right by, I forget the bridge name, but famous from many movies, Gone in 60 Seconds. There was a celebrity ship there as well. I don't recall which one. I might have a photo of it. But yeah, it was the same dock, and so quite familiar with it.
Now, because you'd already done customs, how was it getting off the ship?
Well, it's night and day compared to a little bit over a month before.
Yeah.
So because we'd already did customs, we could walk right off the ship. Now, a couple of days before we got off the Sapphire Princess, they gave us a paper. We just filled in when we wanted to get off. I believe we had selected the later time, which was, I want to say 9 to 9:20, something like that. Maybe 9:15 to 9:30. And so they give us our luggage tags, and we actually, I think around 9 o'clock, we went to our area and they said, "Oh, you're good to go now." So we got off actually early ahead of time. Yeah.
And all your bags were there and ready?
Our bags were there and where they were supposed to be. So I don't know if we've talked about this. When we were there about a month ahead of time, our suitcases were not, or my suitcase, two of them were missing, and they had the little tag on them, and they were on the total opposite end. We spent about half an hour looking for our suitcases. So.
Add a little bit of stress to your morning.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But at least they were there.
That's true.
Yeah, so convenient to walk off really quick because there was no customs. We just walked right out.
And what did you do for transportation?
So we were actually staying an extra day in the LA area. So we just took a lift over to Long Beach Airport, where we rented a car for the day. Now, interestingly, Lyft was a fair bit cheaper than Uber. Okay. And we've noticed that twice now when we've been there.
It seems to change.
It does seem to change. So probably about, we paid just over $50 with tip to get to the Long Beach Airport for the two of us. I believe Uber was closer to $90.
Oh, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Really big jump.
So a fair bit difference in pricing. Yeah, so that's how we got around.
Oh, well, we didn't talk about the food yet on the show.
No, we didn't.
We should probably talk about food.
We didn't. I like cruise ship food. I'll just.
Did you find it similar to the Crown?
It was very similar to the Crown. So they've got the Horizon Court buffet area, which is two smaller buffets, one on each side of the ship. Okay. And they've also got kind of little mini buffets kind of next to them that had lots of desserts and things like that. So they had the nacho bar, still different than on the Crown. One of my favorites, actually.
I do appreciate a good nacho bar.
But, you know, kind of standard cruise ship food, lots of different meats. There was actually a fair bit of ethnic foods. Of course, salads, pre-made sandwiches, chicken wings, all sorts of stuff. So really, really quite enjoyed that. Now, there was 5 dining rooms on this ship.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I forgot that there was a lot of dining rooms on the ship. So there was the Pacific Moon and the Santa Fe on deck 6, right in the atrium area. The international dining room, so the main one at the back of the ship on deck 6. Okay. And then underneath the Pacific Moon and Santa Fe was the Savoy and Vivaldi dining rooms.
And now these all have the same menu?
They all had the same menu. And interesting, I think, I don't know if it was just this sailing, but it was dine my way for everybody.
So no early
and no late. So because I went and asked them and they said, no, everybody's doing dine my way. Okay. Because I was having trouble with the app booking times because I think because we booked the cruise so late.
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before, a lot of the dining times had been taken. Yeah. But I talked to them and they were able to kind of fit us in. Usually it was just 2 of us and they seemed to be able to fit us in for the most part. So yeah. Yeah, I like nachos. Carl's talking about the nachos we had in Cozumel. What was
that Sunset Bar?
Sunset Bar, yeah.
In Cozumel.
That's one of my favorite stops in Cozumel.
And it was so well priced.
Yeah.
It really was good.
Yeah. So nachos
we
good.
do like nachos. I love some guacamole.
Yeah. So of course, being a cruise ship, there's ice cream.
Did you have any?
I did have a few cones, yes. The one thing I don't want to pick on Princess here, but the one thing about their ice cream shop, I don't mind when they make you the ice cream, that's fine. But it's at the same places where you order specialty sundaes and they've got really fancy specialty dessert sundaes on Princess. I can't remember what they're called.
They come with their premium package.
Yeah, and it's the same line for both of them, and it takes them a good few minutes to make those. So you can end up waiting in line for an ice cream cone for only a couple people in front of you for several minutes. So, or I shouldn't say like 5 minutes for an ice cream cone. It really
slowed the line down when we were on the Crown.
Yeah.
It's very slow to get an ice cream.
And it was the same thing here on the Sapphire Princess. So that's something to keep in mind. There's also of course, the International Cafe down on the lower deck of the atrium. So I want to say deck
5-ish,
5 or 4. It's hard to remember, but lots of different places around the ship. There's the for complimentary, there was the Trident Grill up by the Neptune Pool, which had burgers, tacos, loaded fries. Those are excellent. Okay,
I love nachos, but I also love
chili cheese fries, and
those are so good.
They had the main dining room for breakfast as well. Which, you know what? I was surprised it ends really early, 9 a.m. So that was really early. I mean, on like they were doing brunch and different things like that on some of the days, but that seems really early.
On a sea day, especially.
Yeah.
I understand a port day, but a sea day,
The Prego Pizzeria, which is
Prego?
I think that's what it's called. Prego Pizzeria out by the Neptune Pool. And then they had some paid restaurants as well. We didn't actually try them, but Alfredo's Pizzeria, which is down in the atrium, which you do have to pay for. Now, I know they had something similar when we were on the Discovery Princess, and I don't know if you have to pay for it now.
It was complimentary at the time, but rumor is you have to pay now.
Okay, so one of those things that but they've got the Sabatini's, which is the Italian kind of restaurant. And then they did something interesting. They closed off part of the buffet and turned it into a specialty steakhouse at night.
Is that similar to when they did for the crab?
Yeah, I did. I can't remember if they have the crab shack on this one, but they definitely did the steakhouse where they take part of the buffet, kind of close the doors and turn it into a specialty restaurant. So there wasn't a lot of specialty restaurants on the ship, but there was definitely a few. So definitely really good food on the ship for sure.
It looked good. The pictures you showed me looked delicious. So how about the entertainment?
I enjoy it. There's, like any ship, some of it's great and some of it's okay. So
depends what you like.
It depends what you like. Yeah. So the sail away party was definitely fun. I like how, it's not like Carnival. I know we were talking about Carnival earlier where it's a big dance party. It's a little calmer. They've got their dancers who come out in their sailor suits and dance and put on a show. You can, if you're watching in the stream, you can see it's a fairly decent turnout out by the pool. The weather was great. So I think the weather often has a lot to do with it because,
for sure.
Again, when we sailed on the Discovery Princess, it was raining on our sail away, so it didn't really happen.
It was disappointing.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing. So, so the sail away party was nice. They had a comedian who was really good. It was a clean comedian in the main theater. Of course, all the singing and dancing shows as well. And they have, now we've seen this twice. It's been a different singer for both, but they do kind of an opera singer on there. And the voice is like ridiculously good.
Yeah, when we were on the Crown, they brought on a guest soprano singer who was phenomenal. Like we may have tried to sing like her after.
It was really quite amazing. So lots of singing and dancing shows. Of course, they've got their kind of what would you call them? The kind of house team or dance team that sings and dances. So they were really good. There was a comedy magician on there.
You always like that.
I do. I don't know if you love it, but lots of outdoor movies. They actually had if you haven't been on Princess before, this is a common thing they'll do, is kind of a chef's presentation, but it's more of a comedy actually, where they come in and they cook some food, and there's kind of some comedy in there, bloopers, lots of your
silliness.
Yeah, lots of silliness. You wonder if they had a few too many drinks before they started.
Did they follow that up with the galley tour?
They did.
Oh.
So twice now after this presentation, and they don't really announce it, there's a galley tour. So we were able to walk through the galley, and yeah, really, it's a quick tour, but you kind of walk through. They did require us to wear masks when we walk through there.
Okay.
So they also did one other thing. So rather than a sit down with the captain, which we've seen many times, which is actually one of our favorites, they did, it was called Ship Navigation, the View from the Bridge, I believe.
Okay.
And it was one of the, I want to say senior officers who talked about all the equipment they use on the ship.
Oh, interesting.
Like on the bridge. So,
yeah.
So a little bit different perspective, and it was actually quite neat. So I did enjoy that.
I like those talks. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. So, and then they also did have Deal or No Deal on there as well. So for the game show.
Yeah.
So that's common. We've seen that on Princess. We've seen that on Carnival as well.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So,
so that was in the main theater.
So all in all, did you enjoy your cruise?
We did enjoy it, very much so. You know, it would have been nice to go into Astoria, because that's one of the ports I was looking forward to going to. I wanted to go see the Goonies house and just explore. But, you know, it was a great cruise. It was very quiet. It was relaxing. And you know what? I really enjoyed San Francisco as a port.
Okay. Yeah.
And San Diego as well. So we've visited those places before, but we haven't actually cruised into them. So it was really nice to visit them.
So you'll have to go again.
What are you saying?
Yes. I want to go. He was sending me photos, and
I felt bad every time I sent you a photo. So.
I was so happy they could go, though.
Yeah.
So happy.
Yeah. No, it was an awesome cruise. And again, they were marketing it as kind of a wine cruise, Pacific Coast cruise. And yeah, if you have a chance to do this sort of a cruise on whether it's the Sapphire Princess or other princess ships, I know a few of them do this. They actually went back and forth a couple of times. So it wasn't just a repositioning cruise. They actually went back and forth a couple of times. It was an enjoyable cruise for sure.
Nice. I'm glad you got to do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But yeah, should we wind it down there? I know we've been going on for quite a while. That was the Sapphire Princess. Highly recommend it. We really do enjoy princess cruising. And yeah, if you haven't tried it out, probably recommend it. I know Carl and Donna, I believe, recently went on a princess cruise as well. So I think they like it.
I've always been happy on a cruise.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us for the cruising show here on Northern Viking Explorer. We're going to take off for the night. So until next time, thanks for watching and take care.